Hello, my lovelies. Welcome back to True Talk Tuesday, where I give you the real deal on real estate. Tonight, we are blessed to be here with Lisa Gardner. She is a insurance agent, life insurance agent, and we are going to learn about life insurance because I'm going to be totally transparent with you. I know little to none. All right. I did not get that part of financial literature. All right. So, thank goodness that we're going to have Lisa here, and I'm not going to delay her anymore. Hey Lisa, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm
I was
good.
rocking out.
Right? It's good music, right?
Yes.
Well, I have this that just
No,
doesn't sound like
no, not the right
this is what I
vibe.
need.
There it is.
Right, right. By the way, if you can't tell, Lisa is absolutely part of my vibe tribe. I love her to death. We are both members of Polk County Women Mean Business. Shout out to those ladies if you're watching. Definitely say something in comments if you're here. But Lisa, tell the people that are watching, who are you? How'd you get into this? Just give us a little bit about yourself.
Gotcha. All right. So my name is Lisa Gardner, like I was introduced, and I'm actually new to Florida. I just moved to Florida in September and have been loving it. And so, it's a lot of it, which, I joined Polk County Women Mean Business because I really needed to find people. Like I wanted to
Yeah.
find my people. And almost 2 years ago, I became a life insurance agent. Before that, I owned my own business, but I did in-home wine tastings.
I remember you talking to me about that. That sounds so cool.
Yeah, that was way more fun. Not as fulfilling, but way more fun.
I can see that.
So that's what I did for about 7 years. And the owner, so it was a direct sales company, and the owner decided a week before Christmas to shut the doors. And we were done, and with no notice, which was terrifying. And so because it was what I had, it was what I was doing. And so I started working a few different jobs, and a friend of mine became a life insurance agent and just started to really kind of figure out that this is needed. Like there's so
Mhm.
many people that don't understand the concept of it. They don't understand, the value of it, the benefit of it. A lot of people think it's a scam. A lot of people have that, like, they're, some old dude in a suit smoking a cigarette at their grandmother's like that's like the picture that I think I watched too many movies, but like that's the picture I had of life insurance. And so actually one of my agents, her hashtag is making life insurance sexy again. So I'm not sure if it was sexy, but we're making it sexy. So there you
Right,
go.
we're bringing
Yeah,
sexy back. I hear this. All
right.
right.
That's right. Yeah.
Um, explain what life insurance is because like I said, financial literacy was not a thing when I was growing up, and so a lot of people I'm Gen X. A lot of people my age just don't know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So the easy definition of life insurance is when you pass away, and this is the old school life insurance. This isn't really what it is. We have even more now, but basically the easy answer is when you pass away, your beneficiary will get whatever money that was in that coverage. And so you have a $20,000 policy, you have a $300,000 policy, whatever the policy is, as long as it's active and it's paid for, your beneficiary will get that money. And what's nice is that it's a lump sum and it's tax free. And so that's a really great benefit that they don't
Yeah.
have to worry about any of those taxes or anything.
That's nice because a lot of times when I've heard of people saving up money for their burial, right? But that gets taxed when it gets over to the heirs,
Right.
correct?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Yeah. 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 So there's really three main reasons why people get life insurance. And so I specialize in mortgage protection life insurance, which is just a concept. It's just to make sure that the biggest debt that you have, your biggest asset, which is your home, is paid off. And so we can make sure that the whole house is paid off, a portion of the house is paid off, or even some mortgage payments. And so if they're a little bit older, maybe they're a little bit sicker and they can't get that whole thing paid off, we at least can get them maybe 6 months or 9 months or 12 months of payments for that beneficiary so they can have time to make decisions, right? Do they want
Yeah.
to put it in the market? Do they want to get a roommate? Do they want to be a golden girl? Do they want to, what do they want to do? Like for me, bottom line, it doesn't matter what you're going to do with it, but let's just give you some time to get your ducks in a row, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So that's your first reason. And then
all
the
right.
second reason is income replacement. So maybe you're the sole provider, maybe you want to make sure that the income that's coming in, because I think somewhere like 80% of American households are dual income. And so you take one of those incomes away and
Yeah.
it gets interesting, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the final one, like getting buried, getting cremated, making sure you have money for that. So yeah, those are the basic reasons.
We have two people that just commented. One, Patsy from Polk County Women Mean Business.
Hi,
Patsy said, "Hi,
Patsy.
ladies." Hi, Patsy. Patsy owns Check Twice Inspections. We've had her on the show, so that's who's commenting now. And Sarah Stiegler, my lender extraordinaire, she says, "Lisa, we need to talk. I have my clients needing this," and this is in bold capital letters. And I know that Sarah knows how to use capitalization, so she's yelling it at me, all
So
right?
she,
I
all
know.
right, gotcha.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
yelling, but yelling in a good way.
Right, right. "I need you." I can see her doing it. I can tell you, I don't know if you know Sarah, but I love
I,
her to
I
death, all
don't think
right?
I do, not yet. I'm excited to meet her. That's cool.
Yes.
Awesome.
So with the mortgage protection, what kind of things do they have to have in order to even get that? You said if they're too sick or they're too old.
Yeah, so there's, because your mortgage protection life insurance is typically term, right? So and term is, that's one of the, like the stigmas of life insurance is, well, it's going to expire. Like, well, I don't want it. It's not going to be there forever. It
Right,
is for a specific purpose. The specific purpose is to make sure that for the life of the loan, it will be paid off. So if it's a 20-year, 30-year mortgage and you owe $500,000, $500,000 for 30 years, you're gonna pay on that. Now,
right,
there's mixed emotions about that. No, so I'm gonna pay 30 years and what if I live 31 years, then what? Then let's be thankful that you didn't have to use it and now your mortgage is completely paid off and your biggest asset and your biggest debt is no longer, right?
right, right,
But in that 30 years, if you need it, you're sure going to be thankful that your spouse isn't going to need it, right?
right.
So yeah, it's a matter of just having a mortgage. I mean, and you don't even need a mortgage. It's just a point to start the conversation. I have renters that have it. It's just, what kind of, I just actually I did a term policy for a woman who has a huge, her daughter bought her a car for $35,000. And she's like, I, I don't want to have to pay this if something happens to her. So we did a term. We did a
Yeah.
10-year term for $35,000, and if anything happens, she won't have to cover the car payment. It'll be done. And then it'll be over. So
Oh, that's nice.
lots of different ways we can put it together.
So I hear people, and I don't know if you can speak on this or not, but I have watched several videos and I hear people talking about borrowing from their life insurance. What is that?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways. So we just talked about the term insurance, which is
Right.
straight. It's really simple. It's going to be around for a minute. You can get a higher amount. Then you can have your whole life. Whole life never expires, but you're not going to get as much. Usually, depending on the carrier, you can get a max of 100,000, typically 50,000, but it never expires. You're getting a little bit of cash value from it, and that's kind of what they're talking about, right? You can borrow against that whole life policy. And then
Okay.
you've got something that's even more incredible, and it's the best kept secret for some reason, is an IUL. So an IUL is an indexed universal life policy. And so what this does is this puts everything together. It gives you the life insurance, it gives you living benefits, which is a big part of term coverage. So if you get diagnosed with a terminal or a chronic or a critical disease, you can actually pull up to 90%, depending on the carrier, 90% of that coverage to pay your medical bills, your hospital bills, go on a cruise, whatever it is you want to do. You
Right.
can pull money while you're living. And then that third component is the investment piece. It's based on the S&P 500. You're never going to lose money, but you can make money. Younger
Okay.
you are, more money you're going to make.
So people in their 20s probably need to go ahead and sign up.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and if I could go back in my DeLorean and go back 30 years, then I would go and do that.
Look, Lisa, you just aged both of us that we both knew what the DeLorean was, right? Like, I'm just gonna say, both you and I was like, "Yeah, we know the DeLorean." There is probably some, like, Gen Z going,
I know they're like Googling like D-E, what?
yeah, trying to learn how to spell it. Back to the Future, guys. It's Back
Right.
to the Future, okay?
1, 2, and 3.
Like,
So
we were
bad.
also having a conversation before this about a song that is now stuck in her head, and if you have not I'm not gonna sing it online, all right? But I will say, go find my Facebook, Instagram, whatever, because that reel is there, and now we've both been singing it all day long, and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So, what would you suggest to first-time homebuyers?
Oh, first-time home buyers are my favorite, but they're also the most immortal and
I'll take care of it when it comes up.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, typically your 30s and 40s are when you start thinking about it, right? You have a spouse, maybe you've got a kid or two, and you're like, oh crap, I should probably do something and make sure that they're okay.
Right,
20s, they're like, I'm immortal, I'll figure it out later. I actually had a guy, he was 27, and he goes, you know what? I think I'm good. I'm just gonna lay low. I was like,
what does that mean?
what?
Are we putting ourselves in
Okay.
bubble wrap? Like, what's
Yeah, I
happening?
was like, okay, you're gonna lay low. Okay. When that doesn't work out, let me know. So yeah, I mean, I've had 70-year-olds tell me they're gonna tough it out, and I've had 27-year-olds telling me they're gonna lay low. So I mean, it's hilarious how people think that they can, beat
Right,
destiny. So
right,
but yeah, I mean, first home buyers are the best, right? I mean, the thing is that life insurance is never going to be cheaper than when you're younger and healthier. And
right,
so if you're 25 years old, $500,000, you're healthy, you're good to go, then, less than going out to eat once a month, and to be able to give that kind of peace of mind, I mean, and let's be honest, even if you're not married or you don't have a fiance or whatever, that's beside the point. You still have a future. You still, the way that they set them up with the living benefits is that you don't have to have anybody that's financially dependent on you. You're financially dependent on you. So if you lose your income, what are you going to do? If you get
right.
diagnosed with something, what are you going to do? So, setting yourself up to make sure that all of that is taken care of, regardless of when or if it's going to happen. The nice thing about the IUL is that it doesn't matter. And so the term, you've got that time limit, right? Because it really is specifically to make sure that during your loan, you're covered. Now, we
Right,
do make sure that on the back end, so if we get you, $30 a month for the next 30 years, that's great. But if you're only going to be 50 some years old, right? And we don't want you to be uninsured at that point because that's when things get tricky when you get older.
right,
So I also kind of I layer in just a real small whole life policy, just a $25,000, $20,000, just to make sure that they have some money for burial or cremation or whatever it is they're trying to do on the
right.
back end. And then if we do that in an IUL, they're making all that money and they're still having their living benefits. They're not going to lose those living benefits. And it's just going to ride them right into the day that they pass away.
So you talk about this, they need to be healthy and, do they have to go to the doctor? Like, what is this? How do
I
they
would say 90% of my clients do not need to have any kind of, no blood work, no urine, no, none of that. It's a very simple process. It's not like, in the olden days when they had to have a nurse or a doctor come to their house. Every once in a while, if you're on the sicker side or if you're a little bit older and you're looking for a lot of coverage, then those are outliers. But 90% of my clients, all we do is we do the application. They take your social security number, they send it out, and there's this Oz behind the curtain. It's called the Medical Information Bureau, and they hold all your stuff. They have your prescriptions, your diagnoses, everything that you've been doing. They grab all that, bring it back, and in minutes, we'll know if you're approved.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We have a comment, Marshall, who's one of my great friends, I love her to death. Marshall said that her and her husband are 56 and 51. What should we get a month? So, Marshall, are you talking about, how much a month would you would it cost? I'm pretty sure that would be a one-on-one conversation, or like what you should have covered each month. Let's talk about, she's 56 and 51. What would be their best bet for coverage?
Oh, see, that's the age group that's the hardest, right? Because like the 60s and 70s, they're easier because we'll go to whole life. Pretty much we'll go to whole life, right? Because
Right.
it's easier to get approved for. They probably don't have much of a mortgage left, if any at all. 20s, 30s, and 40s, we're doing term if they're healthy. 50s, it depends. So it's those three reasons, right? Are you trying to pay off a big debt? Are you trying to make sure that there's income left after you pass away? Or are you just trying to make sure that you can be buried or cremated? So it's always just that question of what are you trying to accomplish? And for me, I'm not a quote thrower.
Right.
I'm, sometimes, with the digital age and everything online, people are like, just throw me some quotes, just send me some quotes. And I'm like, I don't know anything about you. I can't. Right? Like it is based on you, your
Right.
health, your age, your gender, what prescriptions you're taking, how long have you been taking this, how long have you been diagnosed with what. So, and that's my job. I'm a field underwriter, and so not only am I taking your information, I don't give it to anybody to work on. That's what I'm doing. And so behind the scenes, I'm making phone calls, I'm doing my due diligence, I'm looking at carriers, I'm finding you the best rate and the best coverage. And so that's what I'm doing. That's my job. So
What's the
yeah.
most expensive you've seen as far as people in their 50s and,
I mean,
like,
it can go to a couple hundred, depending on what you're
okay.
looking for, and depending on your health, right? Or if you're a smoker, like if you're a smoker, it's gonna go up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to have a conversation with anybody that's looking for, a coverage to, just make sure that the bare minimum is done, or if they've got some big stuff they need to cover. And typically, because I'm an independent broker, I have access to 20 plus insurance carriers in the state of Florida and 15 other states. I think I'm licensed in now. So I have access. And typically, not always, but typically I'm able to find better coverage and a better rate. And it just because people don't know, right? Like you could go online and you can do all these things, but one, you don't have a human. And so I
Right.
help with the claims process, right? Like when you have a claim, a death claim or a disability claim or something, I want to talk to a human. I want to have a human that's in my corner, right? I
Right.
don't want to go through all that red tape, and I can help get through the red tape. And so that's what you're getting from me too, is that you're getting that one-on-one, that personal contact. You have me forever. You're stuck with me. Sorry, not sorry. And so that's kind of how it works.
You wanna
Um,
be stuck with Lisa, I'm just saying she's fun, okay?
I am fun. I am fun. And it's funny because when I started doing this, I was like, how am I going to put my weirdo personality into life insurance? Because doing wine tastings, it was easy because
Right.
I could make jokes all day. And I'm like, okay, we're talking about death. Like, how do we make this fun? And I
Um,
do it. I somehow I'm able to, and I think that's why I'm successful because I can read the room pretty well,
right.
and I can kind of walk them through a process that this is a conversation that nobody wants to have, but everybody needs to be having it.
So we have another comment, I've have Lachey asking me, "What's your thoughts about funeral expense insurance?"
Yeah, funerals are expensive. Oh my gosh. So the question that I ask my clients is, what are you looking to do? Do you want to be cremated or do you want to be buried? And it's a huge gap in between, and it depends on the state. So 2,500 to 3,000 to be cremated, 20 to 30,000 to be buried properly. And we're not even talking like gold laden caskets. We're talking pretty minimum. So when I talk to my clients and I get them that final expense number, I really try and get them at least 20,000. Sometimes they can't afford it, and that's fine. My philosophy is something is better than nothing. And so if we've got to get you 10 or 15, then that's 10 or 15 that your kids or your grandkids or your spouse isn't going to have to come up with.
Right, right. I agree with that. So, yeah, pretty sorry, I was looking to see if I thought another comment popped up, but I think it would be pretty, beneficial for my kids to be able to have money to bury me at the very minimum. I know that when my grandfather passed, um, he was cremated. Sorry, he wasn't cremated. He was wanting to be cremated because it was cheaper. We ended up he had a mausoleum already built, so he ended up getting buried in the mausoleum. But the mausoleum at the time, the reason why it's built, and might sound weird, but my uncle died when I was a year old. He was 17 years old.
Wow.
And so my grandmother and my grandfather, they didn't have the money to really bury him. They took out a second mortgage, and basically my grandmother did not want him in the ground. So she bought the mausoleum so he would not be put into the ground. He would be
Oh,
in the mausoleum. But there's 4 there in the mausoleum, so that way they could all be buried together. And so the mausoleum was already paid for, but it
yeah.
was still expensive
Yeah.
because we have all the other expenses to deal with, the casket and the ceremony and everything, you
Yeah,
know?
it adds up. It really does. And that and I've seen the breakdown of how much it costs. And I have clients that are like, no, we're good, we'll tough it out, blah, whatever it is. And that's all fine and good today. But man, when the rubber hits the road, it is really expensive. And you're putting that expense and you're putting that burden on the people that love you. And I'll tell you, if they can't afford the funeral, you're going to get cremated. And if that that pisses you off, you're going to get haunted. Like you're going to be haunted. That's all that happens. And I know that there are some people, like, religiously, they don't want to be cremated,
Right,
and
right.
so that expense gets higher. And here, and I've seen so many GoFundMe's. Can I just tell you, please, for anyone that's listening, a GoFundMe does not take the place of being prepared. Please, do you know what a GoFundMe was originally created for?
No.
A GoFundMe was originally created for people that are starting a business.
Oh, yeah, so
Yeah,
crowdsourcing.
yeah,
Yeah.
crowdsourcing. That's it. That's what it became for. And now it's all about people using it to pay for expenses of people being,
Medical
being
expenses,
buried,
death
medical
expenses,
expenses
yeah,
being buried. I mean, who Dawson's Creek had a GoFundMe. I mean, for the love of God, if famous people need a GoFundMe, what are regular people gonna do?
right?
Right? And it doesn't, you know, yes, it's an expense. No, it's not mandatory. You don't have to have it, but it's they call it love insurance. I don't use that phrase because I think it's super cheesy, but it is love insurance. Like, you're not doing it for you, you're doing it for the people that are left behind.
Right,
So like the accidental death covers, like, it doesn't cost a lot. Like, $200,000 is like $10 a month, depending on how old you are. Like, it's really simple to have. It's, you die from an accident, there's the money. You don't have to do a GoFundMe. Now you can, you know, death by accident is the number one leading cause of death before the age of 65. And then at
mhm,
65, it becomes, diabetes and cancer and all that. But before 65, it's getting hit by a bus. It's a car accident. I mean, I-4, my daughter is on it every day and it makes me a nervous wreck. So, that's the reason for that. So, and we have children's life insurance.
right,
Things
and
unfortunately
I know that
happen with kids.
people get really weirded out about that.
Yeah.
I've seen people get, I don't know, very touchy, and I understand. I'm a mom of 5, right? And I got
Yeah.
2 grandbabies, and
Yeah.
the thought of anything happening to them, you've got children,
Yep.
weirds us out. But the fact of the matter is that it might,
Yeah.
something might
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
And yes, having insurance on the child so that way you don't have to worry about expenses on top of grieving,
Right.
right? Because
Right.
that
And
grief,
that's the whole point of it. That's the
yeah,
whole point of insurance is on top of grieving, why do we have to have the financial stress as well? We've got
right,
everything else. Let's take something away. I'm not going to be able to take away that grief. I can't take
right,
away that emotional part of it, but I can try and help and take that financial piece and kind of just make it a little bit easier, and knowing that something's going to be taken care of. And
right.
that the children's life insurance, when I talk about children's life insurance, I very rarely talk about it where, if your child dies, you can bury them. I don't try to take
Yeah,
that angle,
that's
because
rough.
it's a horrible angle. Like, nobody
Yeah,
wants to do that.
rough.
So, what we talk about is, there's a couple of different reasons to get life insurance for your kids. And you can do just a regular whole life, or you can do that IUL that I was talking about.
Right.
Like, I had a 5-year-old The dad just got the 5-year-old. He's doing $50 a month. She's going to have $1 million in her IUL by the time she's 60 years old. a
That's
million
crazy.
dollars like
Yeah.
for doing nothing. So the whole life insurance is really easy. It's very inexpensive. And what it does is it ensures that it guarantees their insurability. And so now you've given them insurance when they're little. So if their health goes south, it doesn't matter. They always will have that insurance. And so that's important. And they're getting some cash value from it. And so they're going to
Right.
make a little bit of money from it. So there's some positive reasons and some really important reasons why children need life insurance. You know the Gerber baby, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that was our generation, was the Gerber baby. I wish my parents knew what they were doing, but I don't have any of that. So, but it's
Right.
okay. Um
Don't my kids don't either, and they're probably hearing you and they're like, "What's up, mom? Like, why didn't you set me up to be a millionaire?" I didn't know. All right. I'm sorry.
right. You don't know
Sorry.
what you don't know. You don't know what you
Right.
don't. Yeah.
Lachey
So
said, by the way, she was like, "Do you offer the funeral expense insurance? Are you somebody that she can reach out to if she needs that?"
yes, yes, I do
Okay.
all of it. And I specialize in mortgage protection because that's where we all start. But I
Okay.
do all of it. I do final expense, I do whole life, I do regular term policies. I can even set you up if you've got a 401k that's just sitting there not doing anything. I can help you get it into an annuity, give you some guaranteed income and some guaranteed returns. So I do all of it. I just kind of specialize in the mortgage protection because it's such a huge part of my business. And people need it. Like, you've got this huge asset and this huge expense, and you're not going to make sure that, like, and here's the thing too, like, even for people that have been in the home, they're a little bit older and like 60s, 70s, the mortgage protection life insurance is even more important for them because now they've got kids that they want to leave that house to, but their kids can't handle a $1,500, $3,000 mortgage payment, right?
Right.
So we're sitting there and I'm like, okay, how much do you owe? How much do you think you can get for it? Okay, you're sitting at like $250,000 in equity in this home. Holy crap, that's amazing. So what happens if you die tomorrow, Bob? And he goes,
Right.
I I don't know. I said, well, we need to protect that equity because your daughter wants that. You want your daughter to have that house, right? You want her to have all that equity in that home. He goes, yeah, I do. I was like, okay, we're going to give you 6 months, 9 months, 12 months of mortgage protection life insurance. So you can, those are the payments, right? It's whole life,
Right.
but we're going to give you enough to do like 9, 6, 9, 12 months of payments. That way that gives her some buffer room. She can
Right.
put it on the market, but she doesn't have to put it on the market and take the first offer that hits. She can
Right.
take her time, right? Because we want her to get the most profit out of it.
Right.
That's what I try to do.
Oh, we could talk forever, by the way, but we only have 30 minutes, so we're coming towards the end of our time. Does anybody else that's watching have any other questions for Lisa? Because, I mean, like I said, we can go on and on and on, and Lisa's very passionate about this, as you can tell. She she is trying to help. And if you know who I am, you know that I surround myself with people who are in service to others, and I truly honestly believe that Lisa is.
Oh,
So
thank you.
she's a person to reach out to. Um, but anybody got any more questions? I don't see any more comments. All right, Lisa, how can people find you?
So I have LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I am on Facebook, I'm working on my landing page. Jessica, I do listen. So I am working on my landing page, but I have a virtual business card. And so if you want me to send that to you and then you can send it out to, a couple of people that were interested, we can do it
Beautiful.
that way. Okay.
Yes, I will put a link also to where you can find Lisa's Instagram and Facebook and all that, so that way you can reach out to her via DM if I don't have her digital card on there at that time. But
And you
all
can
right,
ask me anything. You can, like I said, I do all the things: children, final expense, term, mortgage protection. Even if you don't have a mortgage, if you've got some big debt that you want to make sure that you're not leaving to your spouse or to your loved ones, we can definitely work it out. And I talk about healthy people, which the healthier, the younger you are, the cheaper it is. But I can insure anybody. I love a challenge, and I don't like taking no for an answer. So I,
see,
I will help.
that's why you're a part of my tribe. I'm just saying. All right. My lovelies, we are at the end of the night. Thank you, Lisa, for being on and educating us on life insurance. Please, 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 if you have any other questions, reach out to Lisa. She is a wealth of knowledge. And like she said, she will answer any question you have. Um, as always, as I always end this, remember, be happy, be safe, and know that I love you. Because if people can hate for no reason, I can absolutely love you for no reason.
Good.
All right, my lovelies. I will see you next week. Bye, Lisa.
Thank you for having me on.
Not a problem. I'm
All right,
happy
bye-bye.
to have you on.
Yes, good night.
Good night.